Checking compliance of the finished PDF file. One of the ways that we can check the compliance of a document is using the Adobe Acrobat Accessibility Checker, which is built into the Adobe Acrobat application. The nice thing about the Acrobat Checker is that it's going to check your document for common significant barriers in your file. However, the Acrobat Checker does not actually check your document to any standard. So even though you could get a passing checker in Adobe Acrobat, it doesn't mean that it's actually compliant. A more robust checker is the PAC 2024 checker. The PAC 2024 checker can check your document against the PDF UA and the WCAG standards, making sure that you can tell if your document is fully compliant or not. Here we are back in our tuition reimbursement request and authorization form, and we're at a point now where the document's complete and we want to check our document to make sure that we've done everything we need to make it accessible. So as I said before, the Adobe Acrobat Checker checks for significant barriers. It just does not check to any standard. But I do think it's a good starting point to identify any obvious problems in your document. So I'm going to come up here to my All Tools button, and I'm going to choose Prepare for Accessibility, and then I'm going to choose Check for Accessibility. And I'm going to go ahead and click the Start Checking button. And if we look over here in the report area, we can see that we do have a couple of issues that need to be dealt with. So I'm going to open up this heading categories, and it's telling me that the nesting of my headings is inappropriate. Well, let's take a look at that. I'm going to click on Element 1, and it's going to highlight the object in question. And then I can right-click on Element 1 and say, Show this to me in my tags pane. And you can see here that that heading is tagged with an H4 tag, and the previous heading is an H2 tag. So that's where the problem is lying in this example. The way that the headings were structured in this document are incorrect, and the fix is pretty simple. I'm just going to change this H4 to an H2. And so now if I come over here and I rerun my accessibility check, we can now see in the headings category, everything is passing. Let's open up the page content category. You can see that we're getting an error for our tab order. And if I open this up, we can see that on page 1, the tab order is incorrect. Fortunately, this is a very simple fix inside of Adobe Acrobat. If you click on the tab order error, we can simply right-click on that error and choose Fix. And now Acrobat has automatically set the tab order in my document to match my tag structure, and now the tab order is set appropriately. And then, of course, in the document category, we always have these two warnings, which are not necessarily errors. They're just reminders that you as a human need to check the logical reading order of the content in the document, and you as a human need to check the color contrast of content in the document as well. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then I'm going to close this document. Now the next thing I want to do is run this file through the PAC checker. So I'm going to navigate to my computer where the file is saved, and right here's the file that I'm working with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this file over to my PAC checker. And I'm going to go ahead and drop this onto the PAC checker. I'm going to let it go. And the PAC checker is now going to run a check on this file. We can see that we do have an issue here. So I'm going to click on Results in Detail. And if I open up the structure tree, we can find that error. Here it is. And we're getting a possible inappropriate use of a form structure element. Well, that's interesting because for whatever reason, it's identifying. You can see what's nice about the PAC checker is that it highlights which object is causing the error. So let's go back to our PDF file and take a look at this date field at the bottom of the first section. So if I go to my tags pane, I can identify this date field. What I'll do is I'll highlight that text, And in the tags pane, I'm going to come up here to the three-dot menu, and I'm going to say find tag from selection. So here it's finding where that item is located. And if you look closely, directly below it is a form tag. Now, we talked about this in a previous video. What's causing that error is that we have a form tag at the root level of the tag structure. And if you remember, when we were organizing the form tags in our document, we were making sure to nest them inside of another tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this paragraph tag above. I'm going to open it up. And right here is the date caption for the form field. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this form tag up as a child of that P tag. And now you can see it's reading the signature, then the signature field, then the date text, and then the date field. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then if I go back to my pack checker and I refresh the checking of this document, we can now see that this document is fully PDF UA compliant. So by leveraging the Acrobat Checker in addition to the pack checker, we're really covering a lot of our bases to make sure that everything on our document is properly structured and everything in the document meets the current standards.